Hi, friends. Welcome to Lotus in the Light. My name's Jennifer. Thank you for joining me. It's been a while since I've recorded. I have been in a real hermit mode for weeks. I've actually had several instances where um, I was experiencing something or having a revelation or just my own inner growth, change, transformation was happening, and I felt like there were messages in them that I could share with you. But every time I would consider, um, every time I would consider recording, it just didn't feel like I was being divinely inspired to do so. It felt more ego driven, like, oh, I've got this great idea. I should go record a video. But it didn't feel like it was being inspired by spirit. Sorry, I'm realizing that my computer is not charging, and it's because my power strip was turned off. So let's get that going so we don't die in mid video. Um, Anyway, so today is the first time I've really felt divinely inspired to record. I can think of dozens of things that I wanted to talk about over the last couple months. And today I have just emptied myself because I'm like, I don't even know what, where, when, why, but I do feel like I'm supposed to record now. So, like I said, I just to tell you where I've come from, because today is February 28th of 2026. This message is timeless. If you're seeing this on a different day, just know that spirit, timing is never an accident, right? It's what you need when you need it. So if you were drawn to this whenever, it's for you. But for me, this is day 28 of the Joyride. So I launched the Joyride on February 1st of 2026, and it's the start of a 365-day experiment and saying yes to my highest joy. Um, and it's been a blessing for sure, but it has been an emotional roller coaster. And so I've been in hermit mode, meaning that I've just been allowing myself to have these experiences, these emotional experiences, and work through them the way that I need to without any pressure of coming on here and recording and sharing. Um, I just got back a few days ago from a 2-week vacation in New Zealand, and it was amazing. Talk about a joyride. I mean, I was following my highest joy for sure. And throughout the vacation, I used to be a hardcore vacation planner from like the time you woke up to the time you went to bed. I had it planned out. Even breaks would be planned, or even, lazy time would be planned, right? This time I planned nothing because I'm just a new person. I am a totally transformed person. And I just see the value now in going with the flow and knowing that when I just follow spirit's guidance, that like I'm going to experience my best life. And that's what I did on this vacation. And it was phenomenal. And even though I was in hermit mode, we did a lot of things. We did a lot of social things. So I wasn't like holed up in a hole, but I did spend a lot of time with myself as well. And there was a lot of transformation, a lot of healing that went on, a lot of rest, a lot of recuperation for whatever this next journey is in my life. And then I got home on my high flying disc, meaning in my highest joy mode, right? We even upgraded to first class on our flight home. It was phenomenal. So I got home on Monday night, and like Tuesday, I took Tuesday off to recover from the time change and everything. So Tuesday morning, I had a craniosacral therapy appointment, late morning, midday. And already I could start feeling I'm going to say sadness about going back to work, simply because I know that the work that I'm doing 40 hours a week is not my highest joy. And I say that, but the job that I have, the company that I work for, is a total blessing. They're a really wonderful company. I have a phenomenal boss. I always have great bosses. That's obviously, now that I understand manifestation, I get it. I manifest these things, right? I have an outstanding boss. I have a great team of coworkers and colleagues that, if this work were my highest joy, there would be no reason not to feel wonderful about this job every day. The challenge is the work that I'm doing is not the work that is in alignment with my soul. It's not where I'm supposed to be, and I know it. But the point of the joyride is to choose your highest joy in any moment. And what my soul's highest joy is isn't necessarily what my highest joy is today, because there are these barriers of fear that get in the way, right? And so for example, as I was sitting there on Tuesday thinking, I would just love to resign from my job and move on to the work that I know I'm supposed to be doing, which is more around energy, around soul healing, around yeah, so I'm just going to say around soul healing, around healing the planet, around healing humanity. I know that's where I belong. I don't know what that looks like yet. I know here, and this is what I was uncovering on Tuesday. I know here, I can feel the peace here that if I take that leap, Spirit's got my back. I'm not going to have to sacrifice my home, my pleasures, my vacations, my eating out. I can still have, that's how my belief system has shifted. And I've realized that I can have all those things and be doing the work that is my calling. I can have both. It's not an either or situation. And so in the past, when I've left corporate America to pursue where I felt like I was being pulled to, spiritually, or where I was being called to, it felt like there always had to be a sacrifice with it. And now I know there doesn't, but I know it here and I'm starting to accept it here. But my gut, this has been the beauty of discovering your body and feeling into your body and quieting the noise around you so that you can focus on what's happening here in the self. It's all about the self. This whole journey of life is about the self. Okay. That sounds selfish, but when you understand that the self is everything, then it's not selfish. Okay. And that without love for the self, you have love for nothing. You don't have any love to give anything else. So it's about the self. And I've I now know how to tune into my body and know and not try to lie to myself. Or you can't lie to yourself. We try to tell ourselves things. We try to say, oh no, you can do this, or blah, blah, whatever narrative you're going to tell yourself, but you cannot lie to yourself. You might be saying it to yourself, but your body knows what's true. Your soul knows what's true. And sometimes what you're telling yourself and what you're believing is out of alignment with your soul. And so anyway, what I'm saying is I'm learning. My new belief system is telling me that I can safely take this leap. But my gut was like, I don't know, right? So I have not fully integrated that belief. I hold the belief. It is it is a belief, right? When I fully integrate it, it will be a knowing. And I will get a full body yes. And then I know I can take that leap. So what I had to deal with on Tuesday was like the sadness of knowing that I'm just not there yet, right? I still have this tightness in my gut that says you're not ready for this yet. There's some fear still there that you still have to work through. And I went to craniosacral and I told my therapist, and she does Reiki as well. And I told her this is where it's at for me right now. And she could sense it too. We did some energy work and I could physically feel the energy moving and things shifting and things happening for not just during that session, but for the next till up until even yesterday. I could still feel energy moving, like I was getting sharp pains in my side, and I could just feel the energy trying to work its way out. And it'll work its way out through our body movements. I've been doing, I do yoga usually a couple times a week, and several times a week usually, or dancing or exercise or whatever. I'm going to go play some frisbee golf today, so that'll get my body moving, through crying, through laughing, through all of those experiences help move energy through your body, whether it's positive or negative energy, right? So I could just feel that energy moving out. And at the same time, I was having some kind of mental breakthroughs as well that were helping me. Spirit was reminding me of truths that I had forgotten, that it's like, oh, remember this, because what a part of what I was doing was I don't believe in suppressing feelings anymore. So it's like, okay, I feel this sadness. I have to allow myself to feel it. But I started worrying that by allowing myself to feel it and sit in that negative emotion, that low vibe frequency, that I was going to then continue to manifest low vibrational experiences in my life. I'm like, I don't want to do that either. So let's like hurry up and work through this emotion, right? So I was like trying to feel it, but at the same time trying to tell it the truth, tell it the truth. But telling, operating from this mind doesn't allow you to fully process the experience, right? You have to feel it. You just have to feel it. And what Spirit reminded me later that night was, number one, honor the feeling. Be thankful for the feeling. I'm thankful that the sadness is reminding me that there is something better for me, and it's time to shift over to that. I'm thankful that you're reminding me that there's still something I'm fearing that's keeping me attached to this job. And I just gave it thanks. I gave that feeling and emotion thanks, and I allowed myself to feel it. And then Spirit reminded me, and I just had to let go of the worry that I was going to manifest more low vibe stuff. And then Spirit reminded me that when we manifest, we're manifesting to close karmic cycles. But when we learn a lesson, the cycle is closed. So if we allow ourselves to fully feel, without hindrance, and then we are able to understand and be enlightened and fully integrate the lesson, there's no negative karma. There's no negative, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? There's no reaction to that comes in the form of the negative, because you've now fully integrated the lesson. It's done. The book is closed. That chapter is over. So then I realized I don't even need to worry about the negative karma coming back to me because I'm allowing myself to learn and absorb the lessons. And so I just told spirit, keep it coming. I want to work through this, keep it coming, whatever it is. And um, so Tuesday was rough, but Tuesday night I had all those revelations through my meditation time. So then Wednesday morning I woke up like a spring chicken. Yeah, and I was feeling like I meditated, and then immediately after meditation I said, Spirit, let's go slay this day at work. I was like truly feeling excited about some of the projects that like gave me the divine. So there's a difference between motivation and divine inspiration, right? Motivation and inspiration are different. Motivation can come from positive things or negative things, right? It can come from motivation can come from joy, but it also can come from fear. So I choose to operate out of divine inspiration when I can. Sometimes we operate out of fear because there's some belief system that makes it less joyful, right? To move out of that fear and operate in trust and faith. So you've got to be real with yourself. If you choose to operate out of fear, it's because that's what's making you feel safe. So anyway, so then while Wednesday ended up being really rough, Thursday was phenomenal because Wednesday night's when I had all the revelations, right? Thursday was phenomenal, and then Friday was this like up and down roller coaster. That was yesterday for me. So Friday it was like, but it was a little different. I wasn't going from in my high joy to in a negative. It was like in my high joy, and then I would just start feeling myself coming down. It was like I wasn't in negative, but it wasn't feeling as joyful anymore. And so this is the trick I was learning on this joy ride, is like, don't wait until you're in the negative. The moment things start feeling a little off, do something different, redirect yourself towards joy. So like I had been at work and I had only been working for like an hour and a half. It was like early in my day, and the enthusiasm that I had when I started to wane and started to slip. And I thought, what's happening? Where's it going? Where's my joy going? And I said, you know what? Let's not get into the negative. Let's stop and pivot right now. I stopped. I put my shoes on. I went out. I went to the smoothie shop and I got myself a smoothie. That felt like my highest joy in that moment. And so that's what I did. But while I was out, I had another revelation. I I paused and I just sat in my car for a while, and I was just thinking, why um why do I keep falling back into this extreme negative feeling about my job, or how I don't even know that I was asking that question. I mean, I understood why. It's because the negative feeling is showing me that I'm not in alignment with where I might at a soul level I want to be. Okay, that's great. That's fine. But prior to vacation, I had learned how to still appreciate my job, and more fully than what I had been. And that morning I had started to find that again, but it was starting to slip again. And I'm like, why is that happening to me? And then I realized my higher self kind of dropped a nugget in my mind and said, remember how you felt when you took the job. And then that's when it kind of clicked for me. We tend to think of relationships in our life being between people, between persons, personalities, right? And everything else in our life we think of as, we objectify it, right? This is a thing, and this is a thing, and this computer is a thing. My job is this thing, this experience, or whatever. But we have relationships with everything, all those things. Everything is a relationship. We should really stop objectifying anything in our life. Everything's alive with energy. It's part of creation. And that includes my job. And so when I stopped to think about how I felt when I took that job, it reminded me that I had this loving relationship with this job. I remember I had just come out of a job that I was not happy with. It was a low vibe. I left because it was low vibe. Um, I was also in what I would call a financial, like dire situation. Like I was in a striving mindset. I had just come out of a failed business attempt, and I had went to this low vibe job that wasn't getting it for me. So now I'm trying to get back into what I used to do, and I was struggling to find a job because I'd been out in that field because I'd been out of it for so many years, doing my startup. And then I had all of a sudden I get this opportunity. The title was a couple steps back, but like the pay is decent, very good, considering I've been out of the market, right? And the person I would be reporting to just through that interview process seemed to be really fantastic. And I'm like, man, I was so appreciative to get that job. And it was headquartered in California, where I can go when I got to California, I can go visit my aunt who I hadn't seen in person for a couple of years because of COVID and their distance and all of that. And so it felt like such a blessing. And it was a huge blessing. And it was this financial security. And it was like all the things I wanted and needed to feel safe and secure at that time. And when I allowed myself yesterday morning to remember that, I welled up with tears and gratitude for the job. And it's like making me tear up right now. I welled up with gratitude and remembered that relationship that I had with that job. And now I'm outgrowing the job. I am energetically outgrowing it. I'm moving into a higher vibrational frequency that's more in alignment with my authentic self, that's more in alignment with the direction that my life was intended to take when I came here to this earth. It's just more in alignment with who I am. And that means that it's time to let go of this job. But until I am fully, the thing that this job is still offering me and the relationship that I still have with this job is one of safety and security. And until I can find that outside of the job, until I can remember that I am fully supported by spirit when I'm following divine breadcrumbs. I know this again here and here, but there's that gut. Remember, I'm not quite there yet. So until I'm there, I need to honor where I'm at in the process. I need to remember and give gratitude and thanks for the job for providing me. That's the relationship we have. It is my security right now. And I'm so appreciative for it, so thankful for it. And boy, when I realized that yesterday, I came back from the smoothie store and was right back in my high vibe, like, yes, let's do this project now, and then we'll work on this. And I was right back in my like totally inspired, not just motivated, but inspired state of mind. And it was wonderful. And then I worked again. Then I started feeling myself dipping again. This time it was because of a meeting that I was getting ready to have that there was going to be a person in that meeting that sometimes makes me feel negative. Now, the person, I really like the person. And I can, I can see intuitively some things about that person that, they have maybe some, I say maybe, it's not a maybe, they have some low self-esteem. And so they work really extra hard to feel worthy and valued. And usually it makes me kind of sad actually, because they're super smart. They're super great at their job. They work with great people. They have a great boss. Like there's no reason that this person needs to do that except that they believe it. They're already great, right? But because of that greatness, because they have such high expectations for themselves, because they're trying to prove something to themselves, they tend to have those high expectations of everyone else. And they're still very respectful about it. Like there's never been a time where I've said, I can't get that done in that time frame or whatever. And they would be very respectful if I ever said that to them. Like, okay, that's fine. We'll figure out what we can do, whatever. So there's no disrespect there with that person, but for whatever reason, what they're projecting to me makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, remember that the world around you is only reflecting back to you the things that you feel inside, okay, or things that are going on inside. So I had to step away when I was about 40 minutes out from that meeting and I started to feel a little unease about it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's step away. And so I stepped away and I went and I just meditated. I didn't think about that. I went, I got out of my thinking mind altogether and I just went into my heart space. And that's all I did was just laid there and went into my heart space. And within like 5 minutes, I felt better. And then within like 5 minutes of that is when I had the realization that, hey, Jennifer, this is about you, not about them. What is it that they're reflecting that's making you feel uncomfortable? Why does it make you feel uncomfortable? And I was able to come from a place of peace, a place of love, and kind of look at the situation. And what I realized was that um, I was allowing myself to take on their energy, the way they were feeling about themselves. I was not protecting my energy. So I can be around that and not absorb that energy that they're feeling about themselves. And that was a reminder that I was allowing myself to absorb their own feelings about themselves and that I don't feel that way about myself. I know that I'm enough. But when I allow myself to feel their unworthiness, I start to feel unworthy. And then I start to operate in the meeting in a way that I feel that where I feel like I have to prove something, but I don't need to prove anything. And that's what I reminded myself. I don't need to prove anything. I already know I'm worthy. And so I just need to come to the meeting and just do what I need to do. And so that reminded me to protect myself. I also always step into meetings now by putting us all in a white light, by surrounding us with love and peace and collaboration. I do that before every meeting now. And so I did that as well. And we ended up having a fabulous meeting. So you can see how I started doing these little dips, but what I'm doing now is I'm not letting myself dip all the way into a negative space. The key to that is you have to be self-aware. If you allow yourself to get wrapped up in the noise of the world, you will already be all the way down in the bottom of the barrel in a negative space sometimes before you will realize it to and then the momentum's already so strong. You're like going 80 miles an hour downhill into a negative spiral before you realize to stop and try to turn the momentum. What I was doing is it's like as soon as I'm like high vibe flying, and as soon as I feel myself start to level off and start to maybe dip, let's catch it before I get too much momentum downward, right? And so that was a huge, awesome revelation. I feel like I've been talking for a while. I didn't really know where this was going to go. Do you want to pull a card? Okay. This new deck, I got a couple of new little decks. They don't have a guidebook with them to read from. They have a guidebook with them online, but oh, one just popped out right onto my leg. Okay, here it is. Guard your energy. And that's so I guess I finished this message talking about remembering to protect your energy. And that's you have to recognize when feelings that you're having are your own feelings or when you're allowing yourself to absorb someone else's. So, like I was saying with this person at work, sometimes their unworthiness makes me feel uncomfortable because, and this is why I know the truth. I know I'm worthy. So, when you make me feel unworthiness, I feel out of alignment with myself. And so that's the beauty of that negative feeling is it's reminding you, Jennifer, you're picking up on an unworthiness that he feels. You know better. So protect your energy. You can recognize that he feels it and you can send love and worthiness feeling, like send him love and worthiness and remind him energetically that he is worthy, he is loved, he is smart, he's a wonderful person, actually, a very kind, wonderful person. But I'm empathetically, my energy is picking up on his unworthiness. And so you really, 19 is, it says guardian, guard your energy. And so that is so key. And you see that this wolf is out at night. So night represents the darkness, right? It represents, darkness is really representing the things we believe or the things that are not shown in the light. And so we have a negative perspective of them, right? And so that's where on the scale of love to fear, in love, we know that we're all worthy. We are all worthy. But when we forget that and the light isn't shining on that, we get caught up in these ideas of unworthiness. And so I needed to protect my energy from that and remember who I am in love. And so I think that's going to close out the message here. Thank you all for being with me. I'm glad to be back and we'll see what else Spirit has. Again, I only record when I'm divinely inspired. So just know that God has and does lead these messages. And if I ever record something, and in fact, over these last few weeks, there was a recording that I made that I did not post because again, after I recorded it, I just thought that felt like me and my ego. That didn't feel like spirit. So I didn't post it. So there it is. Love you. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Peace out.